Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to another myth busting May live
May
stream.
myths, myth busting. Yeah. This week we are talking about communication and the myth that communication is your problem and therefore the solution to creating the relationship that feels better
Mhm. Yeah, like we hear all the time
all the
that
time.
couples think that communication
Number one issue.
is what's wrong. And they also believe that if they could just communicate better,
Mhm.
then their problems would go away.
Raise your hand if you're in that group.
Yeah, right? We were certainly part
Yeah.
of that group once upon a time until
Mhm.
we realized that actually communication isn't the real problem.
And it's not the solution either.
Right.
Like if you could just take some communication classes and learn the skills and how to communicate better or badger more effectively
Mm-hmm.
or whatever
Mm-hmm.
the slogan is,
Mm-hmm.
that would improve things.
Mm-hmm.
And no amount of skill, communication skill learning
Right.
anyway, is going to fix your problem.
Right.
We're going to go out there and dare to say that.
Yeah. So why is this a myth though? Why is communication not the problem? Because it makes a ton of sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
That like you're upset about something or you don't like something in your relationship, you try to talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
the communication breaks down, you can't talk about it, it turns into a fight, and
Mm-hmm.
now you're upset, and the problem that you tried to bring to the table didn't get solved.
Yep.
So how is it that communication is not the problem, or that being able to communicate better is not the solution? Because
Exactly.
that feels really confusing from a logical, like, observational place.
Exactly. Are you asking that question?
Yeah, I am. I am.
Or
I
just
like I'm
hypothetically?
inviting you to answer the question.
So-
Oh
now I'm
no.
gonna start a coughing fit.
Oh, no, you're not.
I'm a little under the weather.
You got
Okay.
this.
Yeah. Well, so why is it not the issue? Well, it's because you you can communicate. There's plenty of stuff that y'all could communicate
Mm-hmm.
about that isn't triggering, that doesn't break down, that doesn't feel um
Hard.
activating
Mm-hmm.
or hard for
Mm-hmm.
you. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe what show you're gonna watch on TV
Mm-hmm.
together, like what series you're gonna start, or what are you gonna eat for breakfast?
How's the weather?
Yeah,
How was your
those.
day at work?
Yeah, sometimes those might be a little bit activating,
Sure.
right? But
Sure.
like those types of conversations, that level of communication doesn't typically create a lot of conflict.
Right.
So what's different then
Mm-hmm.
in the stuff that is creating the or like
The problem.
problem
Mm-hmm.
in within you, between you, and when it's not?
Mm-hmm.
And it really is your personal experience, your nervous system activation, when these like more threatening or activating topics get brought up,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So talks about money
Mm-hmm.
can be really activating for people, and so uh anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So and that's a really great example, right? Like
Yeah.
that it's not it's and it but it's not even, like, to clarify, it's not even just the topic
No, it's not even the
that's the
topic.
problem. The problem, as Cal's saying, is that your nervous system is getting activated,
Right.
right?
Like, sorry, go ahead. We're off a little bit.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, the meaning that your mind is
Mhm.
making of the topic around money or family or what have you,
Mhm.
that could create within you and within your nervous system like a really serious reaction, like
Yeah.
a fight or fight survival type
Right.
reaction. And when those things get activated within you, it affects how you are interpreting your partner, how you're hearing the things they have to say. It
Mhm.
all just feels threatening.
Mhm. And then it affects how you
React or
react.
respond.
How you well, it's, I mean, often a
It
reaction, but
usually is a
right,
reaction.
like, but it affects how you communicate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the communication breakdown is the symptom of the root problem, which is your nervous system activation.
Right.
Okay? So that is, if you take anything away, write this one down, right? Like Communication is a symptom of the root problem, which is your nervous system activation, or rather your inability to consciously manage what's going on in your nervous system. The story you're telling, the meaning you're making, the way you're reacting or responding. Obviously, it's better to consciously respond to what's going on than to be in reactivity. Right? It's like when you talk about the weather or what you're going to eat for breakfast, it doesn't activate your nervous system.
Right.
Most of the time, unless you're fighting about what to eat for breakfast. You
Yeah.
have to eat the same thing,
Unless
for
somehow,
example.
yes, become active.
You know, but like even something as benign as what to have for breakfast, depending on the context, depending on what's going on in your nervous system and the meaning that you assign to it, and your level of capacity in the moment, your hormones, your
Anger,
right? Like all of these factors affect what's going on inside you. And so it doesn't matter really like the topic or the setting or the communication skills that you and your partner have.
Right.
And to speak to that briefly, like, again, you know, as Cal said, like you can learn all the communication skills in the world and that's not actually going to solve your problem, because if your nervous system gets activated,
Yeah, and it's translating whatever's happening as a threat.
Yep. You actually lose access to the part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, that stores those skills. Right? Like you need to be in some level of nervous system regulation to have access to the skills that you've learned. Now, when you have communication skills, don't get me wrong, they're really helpful. Then and then you have like nervous system regulating skills, then you can access those communication skills and that can help you. Right? But even without like communication skills training, if you can manage what's going on in your nervous system, it is going to support you with like 90% of what is hard about those topics. Because you're going to be able to stay in the conversation longer. You're going to not receive it as a threat. You're going to have like consciousness about how you want to respond. You'll be able to stay in connection with your partner and not see them as the bad guy or the enemy.
Yeah.
It's like it changes the whole game.
Yeah, when you can respond like that, absolutely. It changes the entire like landscape of the conversation.
Yeah, and communication becomes easy.
Yeah.
Like talking about what to have for breakfast,
Yeah.
right? Like on a typical day.
Or talking about finances.
Yes.
Like the hard stuff, or kids, or your relationship, or sex, or whatever. It's the topic du jour for your relationship, right?
Like imagine being able to have greater ease in having those conversations. Another thing that comes up for me to share is that like when your nervous system is activated and you're having those conversations, we like close off to creativity, to inspiration, to new information, new perspectives. So like you're not going to convince your partner of anything when their nervous system is closed off, when they're in self-protection.
Not that you should be approaching conversation to convince.
Well, but I mean, like, they're not gonna be influenced by your perspective.
Surely.
If you're trying to help them understand your experience or what your needs are, they're gonna probably be in some form of defensiveness, and vice versa, right? That's not how you problem solve. That's not how you get to resolution, or stay in connection. As soon as you're in self-protection, you're out of connection, and that's what feels so shitty about conversations.
Yeah.
You know, like we're out of connection. I don't feel loved. I'm not being heard or seen or acknowledged in my experience. It doesn't feel like you care about me. And all of that meaning making that's happening too as this goes on adds to the suffering and the pain that happens when communication breaks down. So again, like your nervous system,
it's the key.
That's the key. Being able to be conscious and intentional about what you're doing with whatever arises within you, because shit's going to arise. Like you're human.
We're humans having human experiences.
It's like it happens you're going to get triggered. You're going to get activated. You're going to have parts show up. You're going to like feel irritated or freaked out by something that's happening. What do you do next? Right? Like, what do you do then when you notice that within yourself? How do you respond to that? That is where the skill is. When you can learn those skills, your communication is going to be so much easier.
Yeah. And when you can, and the what, right? Like being able to stop.
Yes.
and like even have the opportunity to ask yourself what, right? Versus just like the autopilot response or the reaction rather, that's more likely gonna move you away from where you're trying to go, not toward it. Like that's the piece that like is so critical to master, that just microsecond choice. So that's what we teach our couples, like, that like being able to develop that awareness, that control, that choice, and taking action from those places.
Yeah.
Super helpful.
Yeah, it really was, such a game changer for us. Like we said earlier, we were in the boat of thinking communication was our problem too. And
or each other.
well, yeah. Yeah, and communicating with each other, like I just wanted, anyway, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But like in the communication space, right? Our pattern was like me trying to fix things and resolve things, and also usually being the one to bring up issues, because like if there was any kind of issue or problem, I wanted to talk about it to fix it because I'm the fixer. And he's the avoider, so I would bring it up and he would like get frustrated or annoyed or automatically exhausted or dread the conversation, not want to have it, all kinds of stuff like that, right? And so I would try to talk to him. He'd be immediately defensive. I would be immediately hurt by his defensiveness because it would feel like he didn't care.
Yep.
Then my like anxiety about our relationship would come up, and that would freak him out, and he wouldn't know what to do with it.
Never felt good enough or like seen for what was going well. It was just like more and more and more of what wasn't going well.
And so he would withdraw. And I hate being left alone in the silence. It feels like abandonment for my nervous system. And so that I would get so mad because he just shut down. But of course, my yelling at him, being mad at him, just made him shut down more.
Not helpful.
Right. So if any of this is sounding like you, know that you're not alone, right? It's not just us and you who are.
It's a pretty common pattern we hear.
Right. It is very common. And it's reflective of our nervous systems, right? Like mine is the fight and his is the flight. And for some reason, couples like to pair up in this complementary way.
Yeah. Yin and yang.
But I just want to share, like now, as we've grown and learned and developed the skills to manage what's going on in our nervous system, it's so lovely because like if he's getting activated, I can soothe myself and allow him to take space. And then he'll take that space to soothe himself and then come back to me to finish the conversation. Or if I need to talk to him about something, I know how to bring it up in a way that like is grounded in my own nervous system, is less likely to activate his defensiveness. And he knows how to manage his anxiety about having hard conversations so that he can stay present and hold space for me. And during those times when we do like get overwhelmed with our activation, we can name that and we know what to do to come back into what we call a window of tolerance, right? Which is like low enough in your nervous system activation that you can tolerate the discomfort and still stay in connection. So communication breakdowns are so rare now.
Yeah.
Like almost never happen. Communication has become always easy as compared to like almost always hard, right?
It's so refreshing, honestly. Like if we ever have like a
like a communication breakdown.
like,
what just happened?
What? Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we come back to like, okay, what's going on with me? What do I need to learn about me? And what can I help you understand about me so that we can help each other navigate this more effectively going forward? It's like all learning. So communication like becomes this vehicle, this tool that you can use.
Yeah, then this is where the skills are applicable.
Right.
Take all the skills courses you want at that point.
Yes.
But like if you can't master,
the nervous system regulation first, again, the skills aren't going to matter.
Skills useless.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
when you get really good at it, communication about just about anything becomes easy. And that is that I cannot tell you, or maybe you know, how much energy this frees up in your life.
serious.
how much more connected and safe
It definitely is.
and
It's like
and
free to be like
close.
authentically yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything.
It removes all the barriers, really.
Yeah.
Aside from the ones that might just still be stuck within your programming. But like between one another, it just helps things to be able to flow authentically and magically without the energy.
A lot of
investment.
energy. Oh my gosh, do you remember how many
It's
hours we
ridiculous.
would spend sometimes processing?
Do I remember?
The processing conversations.
Yeah. It was painful.
It was so painful.
No wonder.
It would
our
like ruin a
nervous
whole
system-
day.
Yeah. It was
hmm
and it had us acting in ways to like not trigger one another so that
Right.
didn't have to happen
Right.
again.
Eventually, even me as like a pursuer would get scared of
Mhm.
bringing things up to him
Yeah.
because I didn't want him to go away from me. And then I was like building this resentment, and
Yeah, it's just ugly.
and that's exactly
not
why.
ugly.
Well, it's
not as
a really crappy, painful experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why so many couples say that communication is their biggest problem, because it feels like it's the communication, like what happens when we try to communicate,
it's a tool.
right? That is so problematic. There's so much pain that follows it. But remember, like, we use communication as that tool, as Cal said, to resolve a problem that happened first, right? Like, I don't like this thing that happened, or I need this to change between us, or I want to go on more dates with you, or whatever. That, like, that's the issue. Then communication is the tool to like resolve the issue. But then when your nervous system gets activated, communication fails, then there's like extra hurt and meaning and story and stuff. And so there's like layers of this. But anyway, I feel like we're repeating ourselves. This is like one of our soapboxes, so we could probably talk about this passionately for a very long time.
Yeah.
Because it's so important. And again, it's
it's so counterculture.
It is.
Because everyone thinks that it's the problem, it's not the problem.
Yeah, like
problem is in here.
Yeah, like you got to go to therapy to communicate with one another. Like, no, like go get support to learn how to do this within yourself, and allow your relationship to be the catalyst, the vehicle for that learning process to happen. And if you're both committed to that learning and growth process, freaking magic happens, and you get to enjoy this relationship that most people only dream about.
Yeah.
And but it's really real, and it can happen, and it's actually not as far away as you believe.
Yeah. That's a really great segue.
Yeah.
Into
our invitation.
Our invitations to so you can learn these skills for yourself and start to experience a relationship and conversations that you can like navigate more powerfully and effectively with one another. Like, who doesn't want that? So anyways,
so we've actually, sorry, did you want to?
No, go ahead.
We've actually started just launching, and we're super excited about this, a new way of working with people, which we call our Power Through Problems packages.
It's a lot of P alliteration.
Who doesn't love a good alliteration? Power Through Problems package. Say that 20 times fast. But so these are custom curated packages for you and your relationship. As opposed to our like 3-month turnaround intensive, we would work with you to understand what your kind of like main struggle and stuck point is, and then propose a couple of different options for how we believe that we can best help you like accelerate the breakthroughs, the transformation, the healing, the change that you're looking to make in that specific area of your relationship. So these packages start at $3,333, unless you're a previous client, in which case, because of the work we've already done together, we can put together some packages that can start as low as $1,111. And this, these can include a range of different things, including individual sessions, couples sessions, like 3 to 6 hour intensives to deep dive on thing, having like pocket support with us, being able to message us anytime, access to our courses, access to our community, and even insofar as like doing in-person intensives or a VIP retreat,
VIP
depending on
retreats.
like how big you want to get and how deep you want to go. There's so many different ways that we can support you in really moving through this. And it all depends on your unique relationship, what you're going through,
Yeah.
how intense that problem is,
And where you want to go.
and where you want to go
investment.
with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Invest in yourself.
So there's a catch though. We're not going to work with everybody.
No, we can't.
No.
Yeah.
So
sorry. Yeah. So because of that, right? Because of our limited
time and resources and
capacity. That's the word.
Yes.
We only want to work with couples who are like highly committed to their relationship and to improving things in their relationship. They're really ready to bring attention, energy to the work on themselves and in the container.
And like coming together in this, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to be really willing to do your own work. You also have to be willing to work with your partner, right? Like as a team doing this together.
Yeah.
And within yourself.
And part of that is the decision, right?
Yes.
Like already deciding that this is a relationship that you want, that investing it is something that you want, and that you're willing to show up with, the investment of your time, energy, resources in yourself to make things better in this relationship.
So if that's you and the idea of like putting together a mentorship and support package specific for your relationship so that you can move through wherever you've been stuck and struggling, break through the communication barriers or whatever's been going on, so you can enjoy the other side.
Yeah, have an awesome summer.
Yes, like send us a direct message with custom package, and we'll ask you some questions to take it from there. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week for another May Myths live stream.
Happy Mother's Day to all your moms out there.
Yes, happy Mother's Day. Thank you for remembering that.
I hope you get celebrated really well.
Indeed.